So, you want to own a daycare. Picture it. Finger paint on the windows, a hallway that smells like crayons and applesauce, parents hugging you at pickup like your family. You're not just running a business, you're the reason 40 families can go to work in the morning. Here's the puncture. Most daycare owners take home less money than the teachers they hire. The average licensed daycare in America pulls in about $100,000 a year in revenue. Total, not profit. Revenue. Here's the part nobody tells you. First, what it actually costs to get in. On the low end, you buy a small existing center, already licensed, already enrolled, for $200,000 to $400,000. That's roughly 2.5 times the seller's discretionary earnings, which is a fancy term for the actual cash the owner pockets after real expenses. One real budget worksheet, built for a 76-child license, puts the building and renovation costs alone at $186,000 before a single toy hits the floor. On the high end, you're building from scratch. A new Primrose Schools franchise, the premium tier of the industry, runs $743,000 to $8.6 million, plus an $80,000 fee just to use the name. That gap isn't random. It's land, square footage, and whether you're buying a school or building a small commercial construction project that happens to teach toddlers their ABCs. Here's what the listing doesn't show you. First, licensing renovations. Every state sets rules on square footage per child, bathroom counts, fencing, exits. A building that looks finished can still need tens of thousands in changes before the state hands you a license. Second, the ramp-up. New centers don't open at full enrollment. They open around 20% and climb for 3 to 6 months, while you pay full staff and full rent the entire time. Budget $15,000 to $50,000 in cash just to survive your own grand opening. Third, insurance. A comprehensive policy runs $7,000 to $10,000 a year, and that covers the day, not if, the day a kid gets hurt. Fourth, the playground. Safety surfacing, fencing, age-graded equipment, $5,000 for the basics, $40,000 or more if you want it to look like the brochure. So how does the money actually work? 4 layers. Layer 1, tuition, the base weekly fee for a seat. In Los Angeles, full-time infant care now runs about $19,500 a year. In cheaper counties, it's closer to $10,000. Same industry, wildly different price, because tuition tracks local wages, not local costs. Layer 2, registration fees. A one-time, non-refundable charge, usually $100 to $300 just to hold a spot on the roster, a deposit against a shortage. Layer 3, subsidy reimbursement, government money through a fund called the Childcare Development Fund that covers part of tuition for lower-income families. Here's the catch. Reimbursement rates are set below what care actually costs. You take the subsidized kid because an empty seat earns nothing, you just earn less on that seat than the one next to it. Layer 4, the add-ons, before care, after care, extended hours, and food reimbursement through a program called CACFP. $10 or $20 a week per family. Multiplied across 40 kids, that's real margin. Here's the part that breaks people's brains. The owner isn't really selling childcare. The owner is selling a parent's ability to keep their job, and that gives tuition a hard ceiling, the value of staying home, unpaid, instead. Now, the boring middle, the costs that show up whether you have 5 kids enrolled or 50. Payroll eats 60 to 70% of revenue. The average childcare worker makes $14.60 an hour, nearly $9 below the typical American worker. Food and supplies run $100 to $600 per child per month. Software management, $49 to $199 a month, non-negotiable if you want to track billing without losing your mind. Insurance renews every year regardless of enrollment. Rent doesn't care if half your cribs are empty. None of this bends. It's the fixed floor the whole business stands on.
Here's the part that breaks people's brains a second time. Every other service business gets more efficient with volume. A restaurant seats more tables per waiter on a busy night. A gym serves more members per square foot. A daycare cannot do this. State law fixes the staff-to-child ratio, often 1 adult for every 3 or 4 infants, and that ratio does not bend for a busy Tuesday. You can't serve twice the babies with the same hands. It's illegal. That's the fault line. Labor is capped from below by ratio law. It can't be cut no matter how efficient you get. Tuition is capped from above by what parents can actually pay before they just quit and stay home. The owner is squeezed between a floor that won't move and a ceiling that won't rise. Economists have a name for this: cost disease. It's the same reason a string quartet in 2026 needs the exact same 4 musicians it needed in 1826. There's no productivity gain to capture. In daycare, that squeeze means margins hover near zero in a good year, which means there's no cushion, none, for the year that isn't good. Let's watch this fault line actually break a business. Bend, Oregon. Oregon State University's Cascades campus built a daycare called Little Kits, not just a center, a training lab for students studying early childhood education. On paper, it did everything right. $3.3 million in federal funding got it built. Lead teachers earned about $58,000 a year, over 60% above the regional average of $36,500. The center accepted 2 state subsidy programs, employment-related daycare and baby promise, to help families cover tuition. Oregon's own ratio law required 1 adult for every 4 infants, non-negotiable, funded or not. It still wasn't enough. Central Oregon is what's called a childcare desert. Demand for licensed slots far outstrips supply. One mother paid over $2,300 a month for her son's infant care with no subsidy at all. Even at those prices, even with above-market wages baked in from day one, revenue never caught up to the cost of the staffing the ratio law required. In June 2026, Little Kits gave families 2 months' notice and closed for good. A university ran it. Federal money built it. The math still won. So who actually wins in this business? Not the owner. The owner absorbs the ratio, the wage floor, and the tuition ceiling personally every single month. The winners get paid off the top line before any of that squeeze hits. Take Primrose Schools. Its private equity owner, Rourke Capital, held the brand for 18 years and sold it in March 2026 for roughly $2 billion. Every Primrose franchisee pays 7% of gross revenue in royalties, plus another 2% into a brand fund, collected whether that location turns a profit or not. The franchisor gets paid on revenue. The owner gets paid on whatever survives payroll, insurance, and ratio law. Guess which number is more reliable. Let's run the numbers on the same 80-child center 2 different years. Good year, 90% enrollment, 72 kids, tuition averaging $1,200 a month, just over $1 million in revenue. Payroll at 65%, $674,000. Rent, insurance, food, and admin, roughly $260,000. Owner's profit, about $103,000. A real livable return. Bad year, enrollment slips to 65%, 52 kids. Revenue drops to $749,000. But payroll barely moves because ratio law still requires close to a full staff for classrooms that are only half full. Payroll, $610,000. Fixed costs, still $260,000. Result, a loss of about $121,000. Same building, same license, same owner. A 25-point enrollment swing, completely normal in this industry, turned a 6-figure profit into a 6-figure loss. A daycare isn't a childcare business. It's a shock absorber for an economy that refuses to pay for its own children. And shock absorbers wear out.